不行啊，我。
プリズムパワーメイクアップカードレディー。
Welcome to Shojo Tell, where we discuss shoujo manga and tell who's hot and who's not, talk about themes, and just generally geek out. Today, February 13th, 2026, we'll be shoujo telling about the series Mixed Vegetables by Ayumi Komura. I'm your host, Ashley McDonald, and I'm joined by my husband, Asher Sofman. Hello, Asher.
Hello.
You're here. I'm here.
I'm here.
You're here. Against your will?
I'm here.
No comment, he says. Great. I love that. All right. You don't need to know anything about Asher. He's tired. That's all you need to know. Okay. So this first section that we're going to do is going to be spoiler free. We're doing all of Mixed Vegetables. It's an 8-volume series. And yeah, I'll give you a spoiler warning. 15 to 20 minutes seems aggressive for the quality of this series. Let's say 10 minutes in. Just listen for it. Until then, spoiler free. Okay, Asher.
Yeah.
What is Mixed Vegetables about?
Mixed Vegetables is about two young folks. Hanayu, what?
Go on.
Young folks. Hanayu Ashita. I'm
starting
over.
Name.
Yeah. Well, she goes into how silly their names are at the end.
I know.
So, Mixed Vegetables is about two young culinary students. Hanayu Ashitaba, whose family runs a bakery, a patisserie.
Patisserie, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And Hayato Hyuga, whose family runs a sushi place.
Sushi.
Hanayu wants to be a sushi chef, has wanted to be a sushi chef since she was like 5 years old, but she doesn't want to disappoint her family. Hayato wants to be, I never looked up how to pronounce that. Hayato wants to bake sweets.
He wants to be a baker.
No.
He wants to be Peeta from the Hunger Games.
He doesn't, because he specifically wants to make pastries.
Desserts.
Cakes and stuff. Yeah, sweets. Not bread. Bread is somebody else's thing.
Somebody else's job.
Hanayu hatches this plan to marry into the Hyuga family in order to be able to she'd still disappoint her family, but if she marries into somebody else's sushi family, oh no, well, too bad. And Hayato is her target of choice. And then
she's there, there,
Yeah. The rest of the series kind of goes back and forth on them trying to make this work, this plan of theirs, in order to both reach their dreams or not.
Or not.
Of them trying to balance their dreams and their love for their families. And
for each other, obviously.
And, yeah, okay.
This is a shoujo romance comedy manga.
Yes.
You were like, yes, that was obvious. That was just... Didn't need to be stated. Okay. Yep, that's what this manga is about. I think that you left out the part where they're 15. And I do think that it's important to know that all the shenanigans we are further going to discuss, not in this section necessarily, are happening with 15-year-olds for good and for ill. Okay.
Yeah. No, they are very 15.
They are very 15. Good. The stakes for the 15-year-olds? Questionable. Questionable. At best. Okay. So, Asher, what before coming into this podcast, what was your level of familiarity with the series?
I had read 1 volume. So this was a series that my brother gave us 2 random volumes of, I think. Or was it just the one for this one?
No, I think it was the first and the last.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So I had at least read the first volume before, and maybe I read the last, but I don't remember. I feel like if I had actually read that last volume before, I would have remembered how it ended.
I guess, but I was gonna say that would have made the attempt at parallelism more clear. Maybe. You know,
like
the first volume, the last volume was definitely trying to parallel some of the stakes and stuff of the first volume, and you're like, nope, we're past this, man. Like, nope.
No, we are never past any of it.
I was more, maybe it's not like the stakes or like the same, it's not the same stakes or the same shenanigans happening, but the same kind of feeling that Hanayu has. It's trying to parallel that, and I'm like, nope. I thought we did 7 volumes of like moving, or like 6 volumes of moving past that, you know.
Right.
But all right, yeah. So I did not read volume 1 or 8 before, just being like, well, what am I gonna do with volume 1 and 8? I need to go get the other 6 volumes. So somehow I got the other 6 volumes off of eBay or something. I don't know what I've done. And now they're here, and I'm here, and the art style is very reminiscent of Maid-sama, which, as longtime listeners will know, we both are actually quite fond of. And like, it had some of the makings of being Maid-sama-esque in volume 1, but for the most part, it's not, actually. All right, so Asher, what do you like about this series, and would you recommend people read it?
To answer the second question first, no.
Okay. No?
I wouldn't.
No.
It's fine. It's
not the worst thing I've ever read.
But, you know, I read it, last week, and I've already forgotten what happened.
Yes, aggressive. I read it like yesterday, and I forget.
I do think that I think actually that the premise, the setup, is kind of fresh even now. Not the premise, but the way that the characters were handling it early on, where, you know, where she genuinely was like, I am using this boy. I was like, okay, cool.
You're like, do it.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I don't get to see many heroines like this. But I think, you know, this does actually, it's excused by how 15 they are.
So 15.
Their swings, are very swingy.
Aggressively so, yes.
And it's not that it didn't feel realistic, it was just tiring.
Yes. I was initially going to say it felt unrealistic, and then I was like, Ashley, you remember when you were 15?
Right.
And just like all the drama over silly thing. Like some of it was real, right? But it was like, well, this manga never goes into anything that real.
Yeah.
It was like, but I remember the silly times, Ashley, you know, and I was like, all right, yes, I get it, you know. But
yeah, so actually I disagree with you a little bit about what you were saying before about the stakes being wacky for 15-year-olds. Yeah, of course they feel like their entire families are on their shoulders. They're 15.
No, that's I don't know. But like, their families explicitly, well, no, Hanayu's dad was not like explicitly, no. But God, they have too many H's in here. Hayato's parents were explicitly like, yeah, you don't need a
right.
You know, you don't need to shoulder that. You can do what you want.
Right. But he took it upon himself. And that's very 15.
That's so I think
especially 15-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Only child guy. Yeah.
I think what's hard about this series is that we all know that manga is created like month by month, like week by week, month by month, you know, and you can't go back and edit. You don't know where it's going necessarily. You don't know how long it is. You can't go back and edit things after, but this manga is quite bad at hiding any of that. You know, like,
yeah.
You're like, wow, you're really just making excuses for everything, huh? It's just becoming part of the plot now, huh? Like, you know what? You didn't have to explain that. You're making it worse. You kind of thing.
It definitely feels like it's clumsy. It's not this author's first manga, but I think it's their second.
Yeah, it's the only one that's been released in English from them as well.
Yeah.
And I would say that, like, again, it's still like run of the mill in the middle, but at least the middle felt like, oh, we're sticking with plots and characters and going somewhere. There's consistency. It like both moves forward, but there's also enough consistency that you see how it gels. And then I'm just like, oh, the end flopped, you know, like,
yeah,
that's getting ahead. But like, it's just really hard when it's like, oh, if you had stuck the landing, I feel like I would have felt better about this. But
yeah,
womp womp.
I mean, one little thing that I also found kind of refreshing and or interesting was in the author notes.
Yeah.
She like really went into how sometimes dissatisfied she was with the whole process of making manga. And she talked about how in especially with the ending, she was like, my editor and I did not agree, and I don't like this ending. This ending sucks.
Yeah, she said her editor was also like, what are these characters? They're so sloppy and stuff.
Yeah. So it was I was like, this isn't very professional, but it was an interesting window into like.
Thinking about it now, it's like slightly tamer, actually, like Yu Watase columns that used to exist.
Yeah.
But I agree. The author's notes, I was like, oh, we're getting into it. There's big feelings being had here.
It's like, wow, you're really like saying this about your editor.
Yeah, going for it. Yu Watase's proud, man, I'm telling you. So yeah, I overall agree with you that I wouldn't really push for people to read this. But having, this is like episode 120 something of this podcast or something, 130. So, I've read worse things.
Totally.
There are other series that I would go to bat for you to never touch. If you touch this one, I'd be like, all right, fine.
Yeah. For me, like, there's very little to really recommend it. We didn't either of us talk about our favorite aspect of the series. Did you have one?
The side characters were good, actually. Like, this is very rare for me. I feel very little for the main couple in this. They're both annoying. But the side characters, I was like, I would read a manga about the teacher. I would read a manga about Ichi. Like, what's up?
Okay, fair enough. I like Hayato.
Really? Why?
Explain
yourself.
Yeah, I think it's because he's drawn like somebody wanted him to be a bad boy like Usui.
He's very much the Usui model, yes.
Right? But he's actually just a marshmallow.
Yeah.
And I think that's cute. You know me, I love Gap Moe.
Yeah. No, the Usui vibes are definitely strong from him, but he's not nearly as cool or awesome.
No, I love that he's a loser.
He's such a loser.
He's a dork. I love him. He's a dork. He's a really nice guy. He tries really hard to, to do right by his people. He messes up all the time.
He's so messy. Yeah.
Both of them are really messy.
So sloppy.
So sloppy.
This is peak, like, this isn't even not communicating. It's purposefully communicating in a paradoxical way. Right? That's what it is. We're going to get into it. Okay. So if somehow we convinced you that, in fact, you should read Mixed Vegetables, it is still available digitally from Viz Media. So you can, like, buy the volumes digitally. It is also in the Viz app. It is currently out of print physically, hence why I was like, what am I going to do with volumes 1 and 8? Let me go make this a full set for some reason. And now that exists in my house. Will it exist in my house for long? I don't know. We'll find out. Okay. I'm salty. We're like gonna, editing wise, probably like 17 minutes into this podcast. So 17 minutes into this podcast, spoiler warning, we're gonna spoil all the things now. So again, if you want to go read it and you have not read it, pause here, go do that. If you're like, I've already read it, I'm so ready, continue. If you don't care, continue. Here we go. All right. So there's not like a ton of, there's like one big overarching theme to talk about, I think. And then there's two themes to talk about. So otherwise we're going to stick to character discussion. So we'll do fluffy character discussion first.
Love it.
Hanayu, do we like her? She's just a girl who loves fish, like a real weirdo.
Wow. I think that's her most charming trait.
Really? Of course you do. I'm not surprised. This girl, to paint a picture for the audience who may or may not have read this at any point. This is a girl who, when she finally gets to start working at the sushi shop that is run by Hayato's father, at one point he's like, all right, girl, you're ready to go to the fish market with me. And, he like buys her a fancy fish head, and it's not even fancy, I think. It's actually like crappy. But she just loves this fish. And she's like, he has bought me a fish head. And she starts like worshiping it. And you're like, girl, like, what are you doing?
From what I remember of that fish head, it wasn't crappy. It's just most people don't want to eat a fish head.
Okay, it's just that the head is not edible. Okay,
it's edible.
Yeah, you just don't want to eat those eyes.
I think she did. I think she
but
wanted
she's weird. To. That's what I'm saying. Thank you for proving my point.
Okay.
Yeah, she's fine. Very singularly focused, right? And it's just so annoying at the end. Okay, so again, volume 1, you start with her. You're supposed to think she's so bad because she's just using Hayato to marry into becoming a sushi chef, right? Like,
which would have been fascinating if she was actually bad. That would have been so fun.
But she's not. And also, we didn't mention, Hayato is also using her for the same purpose. They're doing the same thing to each other. Who could have seen that coming?
Yeah, I didn't want to say that in the spoiler-free part. Yeah. Because you don't even find that out for sure until volume 2.
Ooh. But you know it as a person who has reading comprehension.
Yes, and I think it says it on the back of the first volume. But I think that
good job, marketers.
They shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. Marketing.
Yep.
Yeah, so what I really hate in regards to Hanayu is that in volume 8, overall in this manga, it is sometimes hard to follow the logic of any characters.
Yes.
Because again, it's like, it's a paradox, and you're like, wait, what? How did you get to this? And like, usually it does explain it in a comprehensible way. Earlier on, this is harder to follow, actually. Mm-hmm. By volume 8, you're supposed to be like, Hanayu now feels so guilty because she has been following her dream this whole time. Like, she's been apprenticing at the sushi shop. Hayato has not been apprenticing at the patisserie, right? And I think the biggest crime she committed was not even acknowledged in this volume, which was earlier on, her dad had said something like, give this to him, like, give him these pastries and tell him that he's allowed to come whenever he wants. And she never tells him that. I don't think in that scene.
She didn't? Oh,
I don't think so.
Whoops.
Whoopsie daisy. So yeah, so then in the end, we're supposed to believe that Hanayu feels so guilty and evil, like straight up evil. All the text in her thoughts is like in the dark black, that background and everything. Like when we're all always in the darkest places in manga, like, so we're supposed to believe we're in the deep depression evil pit, right? And she's like, I have been holding Hayato back purposefully this entire time because I have been jealous of him for being better at fish than me, And it's just like...
No, wait, that wasn't her motivation.
No.
Okay, that was two separate things, right?
Are they?
Yes.
Okay.
To my understanding.
Okay.
Like, yeah, she was jealous of Hayato because he had an early start in what she liked to do and was better, even though he didn't like it as much as she did.
Right. So that's one.
Right. But that was what got her so upset about that particular thing was that Hayato didn't see her as a rival. He saw Maezawa.
Right.
Who we'll get into.
Oh, God.
As a rival, which showed, that he still really wanted to be a pâtissier, but wasn't doing it because he loved Hanayu and his family. He felt that guilt and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't pushing him to pursue his dream because she wanted him to stay.
Mm-hmm.
That is my understanding of what happened there. Why she felt evil was she wasn't giving him the permission as a good girlfriend would.
Yeah, and you're just like, all right, that's very 15.
Oh,
peak 15.
Super 15. I am the sole cause of his
sole reason for all the things.
Because I am not giving him that push that I owe him as his loving girlfriend. It's like, come on.
And that he has given to me.
Yeah. No, girl, like, he's capable of making his own decisions.
Yeah. But that's why I was like, it's trying to parallel volume 1 because she's bringing back this, like, I'm so evil and impure and of thought and action, right? And you're like, no, it's fine. Like, you're making it not fine by the actions that you take and, like, not communicating correctly.
Yeah. Which, again, very teenager.
Yes. So Hanayu is just like, to me. Hayato, I think this boy is also a mess to me, but as stated, you like him, apparently. So.
I like him. I think he's cute.
Oh, he's cute. Is either of them consistent?
No. Especially because they go out of their way to pretend to be things they're not. And one thing that actually bothered me in the middle section of this series.
The semi-okay middle section of the series.
The semi-okay, yes. Was how, we're presented with a very bright and brash Hanayu at the beginning, who is pursuing her dreams at all costs, even scare quote, using this boy to achieve her dream. And then she spends volumes like 3 through 7 making all these sad faces all the time.
Yeah, she cries a lot.
Yeah, it's like, whatever. It's like, I just don't like this Hanayu as much as the very wacky scheming. Like, you can't even call it scheming because it was such a stupid scheme.
So obvious, girl.
Yeah. I liked that.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
So do you think they had to be 15 because that excuses the way they behave instead of making it that they're like 18?
No. I think they're 15 just 'cause.
Okay.
I think they would have acted this way regardless, and it's not like the mangaka having a really solid feel for how 15-year-olds are. It's just they happened to be 15.
Okay. I really could have used for them to be slightly older. That would have made the marriage scheming like not as gross, because it's pretty serious. Like at one point he proposes to her in a series of other stupid events. Basically so Hayato's mom at one point was like, you two cannot work in the shop this week. And they're like, why? And she's like, because you have final exams. And they're like, oh, do we now? And she's like, yeah, why don't you know that, you dummies? Like,
I do love that they're both dumb.
So dumb. Yeah, they're like completely the opposite of Misaki and Usui. They're just dumb.
Right. I love it. Usually one of them is the smart one or they're both smart, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love that they're both failing.
Yeah, they both get failing grades in their midterms. So the mom is like, no, you have to really study this time and pass all your exams. And so they're both like, no, but a week is so long, which is a running theme in this manga. A week is so long. No, it's not. No, it's not. I understand when you're in school and you're young, a week feels longer than when I'm an old soul now who works every day or whatever. But no. So they're like, no, week is too long. Don't banish us. What will you do without us? And so the mom is like, I don't know. And they're both like, Hanayu in particular is like, I promise I'll pass all my exams. And if I don't, then I'll never work here again. I'll be banished to the Shadow Realm. Banished to the patisserie. And then, of course, shenanigans ensue. And she was doing great. She was holding it together until the final day, where she had to cram for an exam, and she was like, it's okay, I have time to cram before. But then somebody comes into the patisserie late at night and is like, oh, whatever will I do? My friend is getting married tomorrow, and there was a mix-up with the wedding cake, and now I need a wedding cake by tomorrow. And
why do you suddenly have like a slight southern accent?
Why not?
Okay.
She's a Southern belle. She's in distress. And then the dad is like, oh, no, that's a crazy request. Initially, he's like, that is a bananas request, right? I cannot do that, especially since my assistant is not here. And Hanayu's like, no, we must help them. Weddings are important, like, blah, 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 right? She's like, and then her dad's like, but don't you need to study? And she's like, nah.
Very 15. Actually, people will do that at any age.
Yeah. I do that all the time.
Me too.
Yeah. And then, so they do the cake. She fails the test. She goes back to this sushi place and is like, oh my God, I failed the test, so I can't do this anymore. She doesn't explain all this story I just explained to you. So then Hayato, in an attempt to make her feel better, is like, let's get married. And thank goodness his parents explained to him why that was a very silly thing to have done. I was like, look at this manga being responsible for what. Thank you. They were like, so you tried to solve her problem with a solution that was completely unrelated to her problem. You're dumb. That was one of the more real moments in the manga where I was like, parents, like, what's good?
Overall, the parents are really good. I think the only one I just don't have strong feelings about her because she barely exists is Hanayu's mom.
Yeah, Hanayu's mom. Hanayu's parents overall are in it less than Hayato's parents. Who are the next ones? Yes.
Kansan's in a lot.
As much as Yakumo? I don't think so.
I don't. Okay.
We'd have to do data analysis on it.
I do. Kan is, I think, the mangaka's favorite character, though.
Wait, why?
I don't know.
Okay, well, yes. Next on the character list is the parents. So Hayato's dad is, in my opinion, the best.
I mean, he's pretty great.
He's so silly and loving, and he's just good.
He's so funny around Hanayu, too. Like, that could easily be icky, right? The way that he's like, oh, gosh, I love having a daughter. But it's just cute.
No, yeah, it's wholesome on him. You're like, yeah, that's good. He has silly anime man hair, like.
He does.
And I'm just like, all right. I'm allowed to crush on him because actually we're the same age. This is an appropriate crush for once. I'm like, that guy.
He's married. You're married.
I love you the most. Don't calm down.
You don't even like sushi.
I don't like sushi.
You could never be together.
No, it's true. That's why I'm with you instead. I got you at the expensive husbands. Oh my God. Yeah, so again, he's just good. I think they have a good, the parents overall have a good attitude together too, where again, like in that scene that I just described, normally they are very silly and lighthearted and stuff, but then they do go into all right, it's serious parent mode time. What are you doing, you know? I think it's blatantly addressed at least once in the manga where they're like, you guys don't act like adults, and they're like, everybody should act like children or whatever. Everybody does act like children. Like,
when you're an adult, you know that all adults act like children or something.
Yeah. And so I was like, they have a good attitude. Hayato's mom is named Karen, which is literally never brought up until a character profile in the last volume.
She didn't have a name until that character profile.
Yes. That's what she said in the character profile. So very good. But she's, the strong-willed, actually wears the pants lady in the relationship. And, again, as I said, she was trying to be a good mom. She was like, y'all should study. See, you should have studied, but also, you don't have to not work here now that we have greater context into what happened. And you, in fact, again, this kind of manga, it wound up that the lady who needed the wedding cake was the daughter of the most frequent patron at the sushi shop, right?
Right. I mean, I can believe that. I don't remember where this is supposed to be taking place. It's small town thing. So
the only real hint, I can't tell if it's supposed to be taking place in Kagoshima or in the Kagoshima area overall. And Kagoshima is one of the most southern cities in Japan, aside from like on the main islands, not like Okinawa.
I see.
So Kagoshima is not like the biggest city, but it's it's a city.
Okay.
I think we were also told at one point that actually the sushi shop and the patisserie are in different towns.
Oh.
They referred to Hanayu living in the next town over, which they might live on like the border, right? But yeah, technically they don't live in the same town, I think.
Okay. I didn't even remember that. Did not register that at all.
I think I only registered these things because I was trying to more concretely like pin down where it was, but I couldn't really tell if it was supposed to be at like Kagoshima proper or not.
Gotcha.
But that's also why at the point where, you know, they send her to Hokkaido, she is like, it's so cold. she wouldn't be used to it being that cold, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so Hanayu's dad is fine. His name is Khan, as established. He was more like in the way of Hanayu's dreams initially than Hayato's parents were ever like in his way.
Yeah. I think the reason that the mangaka likes him is because he had more of a conflict and more like selfish desires for his children than the Hyuga family did, which is more interesting to write, even if we, you know, decry his paternalism, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically he was like, I, you know, wanted Hanayu to take over the patisserie. And she initially is kind of in the same position as Hayato. So actually, the person in Hayato's head who is keeping him at the sushi shop is his grandfather who passed away. And one of the last words that he said, you know, this is part of the silly parts of the manga. One of the last words he said was like, I can't wait to eat your sushi. And so Hayato is like, I have to work at this sushi shop to like honor my grandfather and make his wishes come true. And so Hanayu is initially in a similar position-ish. Like, she's like, I need to take over the patisserie because my small young brother is a baseball prodigy. And I don't want him to have to carry the weight of the family expectations that have been placed upon us by our father, right? So yeah, I think initially once Hanayu is like, no, I'm gonna go be a sushi chef, he is like, that's okay, Natsume can take over. And she's like, no, let him be a baseball player. Like, and so to me, what's annoying about this manga is that nobody ever, like, it's just sitting there the whole time, you know, the obvious solution that happens in the end, but nobody ever brings it up the whole time where it's like, but if you marry each other, you can just...
you just switch.
Yeah, like if that's... what's the problem? You know, I don't get it.
I do think that we in our generation and being American, I think, with our huge overemphasis on individualism and making our own choices.
Okay.
I think that we don't have as strong a sense of how much that family pressure can be. Both, well, I guess not Hayato's family, because that's at least 3 generations. But Khan, Hanayu's dad, he made that patisserie by himself. He established it. And it's named after the family as well. It's like Ashitaba Bakery or something.
Yeah.
So it has to go to an Ashitaba. And like, and the way that Japanese family registries work is that when you get married, one of the spouses joins the other's family registry. You can't just switch.
These rules are dumb.
I think you can keep your own. Like I don't know. Now I'm like, can you just stick to your own family? But I think when you get married, somebody goes on the other person's family register.
So you're like, that's why it never overtly brought it up, even in the end, where they are clearly a couple, but like.
That might be why. I mean, again, I'm not Japanese, and I'm of a different generation than these two, slightly, I think. But I do think that there is a sense of needing that legacy to carry on, or else, like, what did he do all that work for? I forget what his family did, but I know he met Yuzu, Hanayu's mom, through an omiai, through a like arranged marriage interview. Yeah. So I feel like they were pretty well off, and he like ran off to be a patisserie, which is kind of weird.
He's a weirdo.
I think there's a sense of all my struggle and sacrifice for why. I wanted to give my children like a cool, awesome legacy to get into. Maybe I don't think he thought that far, actually, before he had kids. I don't think he made it for the kids. He made it for himself. But it was definitely like with the idea that it would be continued by somebody.
Yeah, I'm trying to contrast that with the Hyugas, because we do get that one, like, clearly they both deeply care about their customers, but and like so the thing about with Hayato's dad is that he's somewhat old school and thinks that the best way to teach is to make people like steal, quote unquote, your techniques rather than like overtly tell them how to do it. But you know, and like he's supposed to be a great sushi chef and everything. Like Hanayu, when she was small, the one time she got to eat sushi because her mom doesn't like fish either. So one of the rare times she got to eat sushi, she like did have it at like when Hayato's dad was making it, but not at their place. He was like apprenticing somewhere else. Well, all of that is to say that I did get the sense that the Hyugas had like less grand ambitions, than Khan has. Because there's one conversation that they have, I guess, with Meizawa, where he's like, your prices are really low. How do you turn a profit? And Hayato's dad is just like, oh, I mean, we do it for like the love of the game, basically. And as long as it's enough, like it's fine, right? Versus like, Khan is aiming to move to France and like become one of the greatest bakers of all time or something here, you know. Like, so that's a interesting contrast between them, I guess.
And there is still in the Hyuga family a bit of that sort of this is our family brand thing going on, because you mentioned Yakumo, Hayato's dad, going and apprenticing at another shop. He brought the Hyuga tamago recipe with him. Yeah. So there is something about the distinct character of a family continuing on that you and I certainly don't have.
Nope. Apologies.
But yeah, in for other people it's different.
Yeah, all right, I'll buy it, I guess. I just, since we started with the premise of we're going to marry into each other's families and solve this problem for us, I was like, well, so that should still work? It just felt like it should still work.
Right. I mean, I feel like it should still work too, but I don't know. I guess there is that sense that you marry into a family and you leave yours.
Sad. Now you're making me sad. Okay. Let's talk about these last remaining semi-important side characters. There are other ones. They should be brought up in at least Shipping Corner. We'll see. I don't know. Okay. So we have Saki, who was the initial apprentice at Hyuga, actually. And he's still there the whole time. And he's kind of fun, but you're just like, again, one of the things where I'm like, hold up, manga. I thought that this shop was doing totally fine with Saki and, Mr. Hyuga and the mom and sometimes Hayato helping out here. And now as soon as like Hanayu enters the equation and then leaves again, they're like, we're falling apart without Hanayu, And I'm like, okay.
She brought in more customers was one of the implications.
Because she's so cute. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So the problem with Saki, we can't talk about Saki without also talking about Miss Matsu. They all have such similar names. It's really annoying.
It is very annoying.
Matsuzaka. Okay. So let's start with Matsuzaka, actually. Okay. So Matsuzaka is the teacher at the school, the culinary school that Hayato and Hanayu currently go to. It is revealed later that Saki had this teacher as well at a different school. And this teacher had a big influence on Saki. And Saki, by turns, had a big influence on her romantically, but like, it's just so stupid. I can't even hold it together. Okay. So Miss Matsuzaka, when we're introduced to Miss Matsuzaka, I'm pretty sure I looked at this character. Wait, now I'm confused. Which way did I go here? I looked at the character and thought it was a woman, right? Or did I think it the other way? I did
too.
Okay. So I looked at this character and was like, that's a lady. But early on, at least in the English translation, in volume 1, the one reference you get to their gender is he. And I was like, what?
Oh, really?
Yeah, or is it the other way? No, I'm pretty sure that's why I was so confused. I was like, that's not a man. Like, I could try to find it. It'll take me too long. Anyway, the point is then there's a running thing, even with the author, like people reading it in real time, right? Are like, wait, is Matsuzaka a man or a woman? And it's just kind of like, So then the canonical story that is made up is that Matsuzaka starts sometime, occasionally at least, seemingly most of the time actually in the story, wearing more manly clothes because Saki had a crush on her and she was like, I need to make the students not have crushes on me.
Oh, well, that's not going to work because she's hotter in the
I know, she's hotter this way. It's crazy. You didn't realize that was the implication, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
There was one little side thing where she was like, I got to start wearing, like, men's clothes to, like,
I vaguely remember that, but I thought it was because she thought she looked good in them.
No, I think the implication was that it would prevent students from having crushes on her.
Well, you know what I think is true is it'll stop students from like daring to approach her as much. Like, you put on the pants and you're powerful.
That's how gender works.
That is how gender works.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So then, like, we're told that Saki was like actually he was a good student but a bad cook, right? He was clumsy. Right. So he was just so clumsy. But he was actually quite a good student. He was going to go to like a prestigious university and everything. I think this is also why I got confused about the location, because they said he was going to go to the Hokkaido University. And so I was like, wait, is this in Hokkaido? No. So he's clumsy, but then like, and he was never able to tell her his feelings, but he was like, I'm pretty sure she always sensed it. And then, then they meet up again and they become a couple, but it's like hardly mentioned. They're never like in it again. You're just like, crimes have happened here. one, they're both good characters, so you kind of like want more, and two, you're like, you're not dealing with any of the ethical implications of this.
I mean, he's a former student.
Oh, sure, but like, are we supposed to have believed that she didn't have a crush on him, like, earlier?
It was definitely implied that she did.
Yeah. And I mean, again, she's like not a creepy bad teacher, so she didn't pursue it. And only then pursued it because their paths happened to cross again, right?
Right.
And she has her moment of, again, you just see it because, I've read Kimi ni Todoke. Like, I've read it. It's fine. So, she's like, I don't ever want to hear, they're talking about Saki because they're trying to get them, like Hayato and Hanayu are trying to scheme to get them back together or whatever, together at all. And Matsuzaka is like, I don't ever want to hear Saki's name again. And, you're supposed to believe it's because she like hates him so much or whatever. And you're like, nah, it's because she feels bad about like what happened and how it all went down. And she didn't like close that chapter for him, right? Yes, that's what happened. Okay, so those two characters are robbed by this mediocre story.
Yes.
Now we have to talk about the most hated man. I hate this man.
We don't have to. We can skip him and talk about the friends.
No, we have to talk about him.
Okay.
So there's a man named Meizawa. You see why I was like,
Maezawa.
You see why I was confused.
Yeah. No, actually, the real confusing thing is one of the friends is named Matsuyama.
Yes.
And the teacher's named Matsuzaka.
Yes.
It's like, no wonder Hanayu couldn't learn his name.
It's horrible. Hanayu and Hayato Hyuga is too much. Okay. It's too much. Okay. All right. So Meizawa is introduced real late in the game, first of all. Trash. So he is the apprentice of Khan. So he works at the patisserie. And his whole annoying way of communicating is not actually like the rest of the characters. It's also not nice like Hayato's parents. His way of communicating is just being like, I'm going to push all your buttons. And you're like, it's working. Because I super hate you.
Yeah. He's the worst.
He's the worst. Oh my God.
He's the worst and he is the prettiest.
No. He has the eyes like he has the visual cues, like the same visual cues that what's his space in Maid-sama has too. Actually, the pop guy that the idol guy that Sakura.
That guy sucks.
Yeah, see, that guy sucks.
I can't remember his name, but he's the worst.
He's also the worst.
I like Maezawa more than him.
Oh.
Because Maezawa, like, you can like hating him. That other guy, like, they just...
Yeah, he just sucks.
Yeah. But he's pathetic and he sucks.
They have like the same eyes, so I'm like, oh my God. I just hate that.
I like Maezawa's hair.
Okay. You like his spiky hair. Great. Noted. Okay, so Maezawa, again, okay. The first two, I would say definitely the first volume is hard because it's bad. There's a smooth period again from like volume 2.5 to through 5. 2.5 through 5. You're like, all right, this is approaching levels of normalcy and pleasure, right? Like you're like, okay, we're getting somewhere. And then Maezawa comes and you're like, nope, you ruined it. Like, so Maezawa, again, he just wants to push all your buttons. So the first button he decides to, and again, he does still have a paradox too. So initially you're supposed to believe that he has a crush on Hanayu, even though he's much older, actually. He was 21 when she was 12 or something. So he's, like.
Was that mentioned?
Yeah, I think it was mentioned, like, he started working there when he was 21. and she was 12. So that was only 3 years earlier than when we like currently are. But like that's a big gap. So you're like, at first the reader and Hayato is led to believe that he has a crush on Hanayu, and you're supposed to be like, that's icky, and he's so annoying. So he's just like trying to get rises out of them all the time, right? So one of the plot points is that he tells Hayato, like, I want to take her to France someday. And you're like, oh, he wants to like steal her away and become a master baker. And then you find out that it's like her family just goes to France once a year as like a family vacation, but stays at Maezawa's grandma's house because he's part French. And so the reveal turns out to be that what he's really mad about is Hayato not becoming a baker, right? Like he's like, there's so much potential wasted here, and all this stuff.
Well, it's part that, and part that he knows he can get Khan to move to France if Hayato goes with him. Right. And he really wants Khan to move to France so that he can make his grandma happy.
Yes. So there's guilt tripping with a new grandparent. Who dis? Basically, a silly swap happens. So before Hanayu really loses it in the final volume, a deal is made that Hayato will go in Hanayu's place on the family trip so that Hanayu can stay at the sushi shop and have a chance to learn without Hayato being there, and like, not just being in this, like taking him out of the space so that he's both not occupying the space around her, so that she's not thinking about how he's better at her than everything, she just has space to breathe. So they agreed to do that. And then of course it's like, but come with us forever, Hayato, come with us forever. And Maezawa just never lets up on the like button pushing scheming.
No, he never does.
He never does. And he's just annoying, and I hate him.
Yeah.
Ugh. Maybe that's why, Maezawa is part of the problem for me being like, Hanayu lives in a worse situation too, is that I'm like, they took on this a-hole as like their apprentice, like, ugh. And then they I think at certain points they acknowledge, they're like, yeah, he's annoying and an a-hole, but he's just so good at baking. You're like, no.
They're not paying him for his personality.
Yeah, they said they're not paying him for his personality. I'm like, well, maybe you should think about it a little more. And that's where the manga becomes slightly unforgivable, So there are other characters, but I think we're just going to save them for Shipping Corner because they're not like, I tried to do it of like people who had like legitimate plot chapters and forward plot movement helping, right? So I feel like the others are there and I like them a lot, but they don't do a lot for where we're trying to go. Okay, so I feel like we talked about the weight of Family X, so I want to talk about like themes and topics and stuff, but I do feel like we already talked about the weight of family expectations pretty well. The one thing that, again, I really feel like the manga fell on its face about, or just didn't acknowledge overtly at all, was gender. And not just with Matsuzaka, playing this like, is she a man? Is she a woman? Who can say? What is gender? But I'm just like, hold up. One of the most fascinating parts of this manga should be that female sushi chefs are rare, from my understanding. And I was like, am I just stereotyping? So then I did look it up before recording this, and I found a 2022 Condé Nast Traveler article that says that less than 10% of sushi chefs in Japan are women. So, if I take the trajectory of history as any meaning, I would assume the number was even slightly worse when this manga came out 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is never brought up in the, like, for good and for ill, in my opinion. This is never brought up in the manga.
I thought it was.
Was it?
Way at the beginning.
Oh, goodness. I don't remember
was like
there.
part of why, yeah, I thought it was part of why, I guess it was just part of what made Hanayu interesting. And maybe it's something that would have been more obvious if we were Japanese in 2000 and whenever, 6?
5.
Yeah. Okay. I was pretty close.
Yeah.
That like, oh, it's weird for a girl to want to be a sushi chef. And at the very end, when she inspires that other little girl to be a sushi chef, it's supposed to be a little bit like, oh, we're making change in this world. Yay, feminism. I think you're right that it's not made explicit mostly, but I thought it sort of came up at the beginning once.
Maybe once. And like, again, there are other, you can tell that Hanayu is fighting some gender stereotypes, right? Like it is frequently mentioned that she has freakishly strong like arms, right? And she's like, I gotta be able to do these really hard tasks and everything.
Right.
And okay, yeah. So I want to frame it as like, I don't think the problem is that it's not overtly mentioned in the manga, or if it is, it's like once and in passing and then not really explicitly mentioned again. It's more that like you can do that in a story, and I would actually really appreciate that, like stories that are divorced from our current biases and stereotypes and prejudices can be really powerful. But I just feel like the type of manga that it is, even though it's mostly comedic, it just doesn't divorce itself enough from our like being present day, like it's not a fantasy. It's not divorced from the present day, actually, that it's more of a disservice to have left that as like extreme subtext.
Sure. Totally.
Yeah. Or like at least subtext, So I'm like, I feel like it was just burying the lead here. Like it was burying one of the most interesting parts of it. But can't win them all, I guess. So I guess we should do a shipping corner, which for a short manga, there's actually quite a lot of ships in here. I once again tried to rank them from like least important to most important, or like least prominent to most prominent. So this is just a silly one, but just to bring up Hanayu's brother again, Natsume. So we are told that Natsume has a crush on a small French girl when they go, because he's in elementary school still. So he has a crush on a French girl, and yeah, silly and cute, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So we are told that Maezawa has a wife named Shio. And I'm like, ew, who married him? Why?
Didn't the author be like, I tried to come up with the kind of person who would marry Maezawa?
I think she did. Just a very like subservient, like wants to be bossed around lady. And I'm just like, ew, I still hate it.
Yeah. It's not pleasant.
Not pleasant. Yes. We have Hanayu's parents, which again, as we address, you don't actually get that much of her mom after the first like volume or two. And one of the twists so again, an early twist is that Hanayu is always like, ew, they're always so gross and lovey-dovey, and they just like love each other so much. How is that possible? Oh my God. Like, freedom to love who you love. And then she finds out, like, only as a 15-year-old, apparently, that they were actually arranged. Like, this is an arranged marriage. And she's like, what? And that's where I feel like it starts to drop off. Like, her mom's just not there anymore. And you're like, okay. So these are the two characters. The next one that I feel like we should talk more about, because I'm like, we only briefly mentioned them But I actually really like them. Not necessarily as a couple, but just like individually.
Yeah. They're very pair the spares.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little unfortunate for both of them. They deserve better.
They deserve better, yes. So we have Matsuyama and Ichi, who Matsuyama is Hayato's friend initially, like, before they merge families and friend groups. Matsuyama is Hayato's friend, and Ichi is Hanayu's friend. And so part of the struggle, so these two, so Matsuyama is a very like shy, in the background, I wouldn't say shy, just quiet, like guy in the background. He
doesn't have a lot of presence.
Yes. The ninja character. So he's initially like supporting Hayato, but Hayato doesn't like really open up to him, right?
Because Hayato doesn't open up to anybody.
Right, until Hanayu comes along. And Ichi is filling that same role, but has the opposite personality from Matsuyama, where she's like, I kick ass and I'll take names, like, she's the me character type, where she's just like punching people for being bad in high school. You're like, yeah, all right. She's throwing them. You're like, yeah, I get you. But like, I like her. She's good. She has good morals. She's like, you're so silly. God, so annoying. And like, her and Matsuyama are not cute. It's definitely a pair of the spares situation.
Yeah.
And you're like, we didn't need to do that. So they like bond over how the minor conflict for them is that they wind up bonding over how, the roles that they were playing for Hayato and Hanayu respectively have been filled by them getting together. Right. And like by each other. So like Hanayu is a better support for Hayato, and Hayato is a better support for Hanayu than these friends wound up being. And they're like, oh, that's sad. That's sad. You want to kiss? Cool. As mentioned, we have Saki and Matsuzaka, who deserved better as well. They deserved better. Once they got together, like it was acknowledged, we like did something with them. They were like, and now we will ride off into the sunset and be irrelevant to this story. And you're like, but I liked you. You didn't have to. All right. Whatever. Then we have obviously the best couple, Hayato's parents.
Yes.
Running a sushi shop together, being powerful, being loving, being supportive. We love to see it. So we said about a lot of mouth words about Hayato and Hanayu, but do we actually like them as a couple?
I wouldn't inflict them on anybody else.
Ooh.
They were made for each other.
They were made for each other. That doesn't mean I have to like them.
No.
They were too telegraphically like made for each other for me. I'm like, oh God. They can be cute, I guess. I don't know. I have no strong feelings about this.
I like them.
Okay, fine. So we agree that the OTP is Hayato's parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those two. That's a great couple.
That's a great couple.
We didn't even mention that, like, the reason they got married is that Karin was pregnant.
Yeah, pretty young.
Yeah. Yeah. And they made it work.
Yeah.
Good for them. She's older than him. Just great all around.
Great all around. Yeah. She like went to ask the grandpa, like, can we get married? And he was like, no.
It was wonderful.
And she's like, why not? I don't accept this answer. No. Excellent. Just great. Manga about them would read great. I assume we have no final thoughts other. The final thought is Hayato's parents are great.
Yeah.
Yay, we did it. Yay, we did it. We talked about the mixed bag that is mixed vegetables.
Hey.
Did it? Okay. Thanks for listening to Shojo Tell. Comments, questions, constructive criticism, concerns. Need to gush about your OTP? There's only one, so choose wisely. Email shoujoandtell@gmail.com or leave a comment on the episode's YouTube page. We're at Shojo and Tell on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Tumblr. You cannot find my husband on the internet. He lives in the Shadow Realm. Are you excited every time you see a new episode from us? If so, please consider leaving a rating on Apple Podcasts or doing the thumbs up thingy on Spotify. This will help the podcast reach more hearts, or at least ears. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back next time for Full Moon by Arina Tanamura. Oh, yeah, that's right. An iconic classic. Is it old enough to be a classic? Whatever. Yeah, it's old enough, is it?
Sure.
Whatever. So much lace. Until then, bye.
Hey, you've got one too, on your back. You know, a plum. I can see it.
I do, really? Are you sure?
Yeah, it's only a little one though.